Hello once again, welcome to your favorite show, The People's Voice, a show that offers you an opportunity of being heard on trending issues, especially as it affects us as a people and the society at large. Welcome once again to the show. I am Joshua Okata. Hello and welcome to The People's Voice. I am Samuel Okata, your co-host on the show. Today's show promises to be very much exciting, and not just exciting, but also entertaining, educative, and informative. All of these are packed full and ready to be dished out. So sit back as all of these unfolds. All right, so on the show today, we'll be talking about health. Yes, your health, which brings us to the topic entitled Depression. What exactly is depression? Its causes and effect on our health. We'll take a breather now, and when we return, the program continues. Do stay with us. Welcome. If you're just tuning in, it's still your favorite show, The People's Voice. You're welcome once again. All right, so report has it that chronic depression affects about 20% of Nigerian heads of household, with measures indicators from agricultural, welfare, and other areas of life in Nigeria. It also stated that every 2 to 3 years, this happens. The statistics is linked to an additional finding that nearly 2 out of 5 Nigerian respondents have been affected by at least one negative event, such as conflict or the death of a loved one or household family member. What's your view on this, Sam?
Well, that's a fact, that's a fact, but it's not actually limited to what you've just mentioned.
Okay.
Such as the death of a loved one or when you have conflict, so to speak. Well, if you're opportune to live, in an environment whereby people are being faced with every manner of economic hardship, you will come to terms that really depression is not something just limited to what you just mentioned.
Okay, so what do you think about that?
For example, if you know people who are bedridden for years.
Okay, those who are going through some, prolonged illness or something.
Exactly, and so to speak, they do not know when their health would return back or when, so to speak, cure would actually come or treatment will actually come for such illness.
Okay.
To a great extent, they will be depressed.
Sure.
And once that depression sets in, obviously you begin to see some certain effect on their health, such as them losing their mind, such as, sometimes. Then you begin to see them feel very, very much, lost in memory. Sometimes, they begin to feel so dull, they find it very difficult to interact with people because they are not happy.
They feel withdrawn.
Exactly, they are not happy within themselves.
Right.
Depression has actually set in.
Okay.
Then, aside from people being bedridden for years,
Okay.
sometimes to people who live in apartments,
Okay.
as a result of maybe the loss of their job, they couldn't see themselves having what it takes to renew their rent.
True.
Maybe because they lost their job, which gives them that income to be able to service that rent. As a result of that, they begin to think, how would they be able to foot the bill, that this rent comes with? And once they're not able to, get, so to speak, solutions or funds or help or support, whatever you want to call it, in order for them to be able to service that rent, they will not be happy. They will begin to think. They will begin to, feel depressed. And once depression sets in, the funny thing that happens is that they begin to have this high blood pressure because of unnecessary thinking of how they will be able to solve this problem. And not to even limit it to that, once high blood pressure sets in, obviously what comes in? It is stroke, when it is not well managed or when attention is not given to that person. And once stroke comes in, it's just a thin line between that individual and death. And if you remember a couple of months or a couple of years ago, whereby people began to see the Third Mainland Bridge as a place where they go to just give themselves the solution to depression.
Which is suicide.
honestly, suicide.
Jumping into the life.
Exactly. And it became so serious in the state whereby the government began to put some,
certain measures.
Exactly, security agents at such killing zone, because they know a lot of people are now attracted to that place where they, commit suicide or where they kill themselves as a result of the fact that they are not able to get solution to their problem, and depression was almost killing them. So in order for them to be able to avert that depression or run away from that depression, they just feel suicide is the only option for them. So you can imagine to what extent depression can lead one into if it is not well managed or salvaged.
I really appreciate the angles that you brought in. Well, that's your own perspective on the matter. Yeah. The show is not over yet. As you know, it's the people's voice. So we've got to hear what the people's perspective on the matter is. So during the course of the week, we had the opportunity of hitting the street to get the pulse of the people. And here is what they say. Take a look.
What I saw about it is, let's say, I think everybody is depressed already. In this country, we are depressed. But a little things can trigger it from a relative. Maybe the person doesn't have money and he's seeing some things. He's seeing maybe his junior or senior doing very okay. It can be depressed of all those things. Like, life is not that balanced with everybody, you get. So I don't know. Like, I have mine but I had to just come out of it. Everybody has in his body. Like you having a child that is not working over 12 years and you are working. You are seeing some things around you. You see some kids 1 year, 2 years, they are perfectly okay. You can get depression from that easily.
I have a very unique perspective though, so let me explain it like this. I think depression is just perspective. It's the way you see it, actually. Because I see it as failure. If you failed, like if you are not achieving what you're supposed to achieve, you definitely be depressed. I just feel that's just the cause of depression. Like if you give a man, let's say his heart desires now, if he's fulfilled, he will not be depressed.
We cannot rule out the Nigerian situation from the recent, from depression. The economy is bad and it's affecting everybody. There's high cost of living. This alone is enough to cause one to be depressed. But the truth is that depression is real, and there are a lot of factors responsible for this. And one of such factors is the bad state of Nigerian economy.
Welcome back to the show. It's the People's Voice. Of course, you've heard the various perspectives from the people on the street, the divergent views about what they think and what they feel about the cause of the topic we're discussing. Well, the discussion has to go on. Meanwhile, joining us in the studio is a very amazing guest. He is Dr. Leo Aniako. He is the MD CEO, Careful Clinical Diagnostic Center in Lagos. Welcome to the show, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Right. Welcome. So from the analysis given, report has it that unfortunately about 20% of the male folks, particularly the heads of household, are somewhat subtly affected by this health issue. What's your view on that?
Yeah, the report should be correct, especially in West Africa, where the responsibility of a household is centered on the man as the head of the house.
True.
I think that is a major factor, because a lot of things are involved in family affairs. The man will take care of himself, take care of his wife, and take care of his children. Before you talk of extraordinary bills, the normal, especially in Lagos State, the rentage, and other challenges, before you talk of school fees of the children. So man is exposed to thinking, looking for a solution to solve immediate and extended problems. So at the end of the day, depression will definitely set in because it's a human being.
Now, to help us understand this, especially for those watching, what is your understanding? Give us an insightful comprehension of what depression is.
Thank you very much. Depression is a word and a term.
Say it again?
Is a word.
Okay.
Depression is a word.
All right.
And at the same time is a term.
All right.
So, and it depends on how you look at it. Holistically, we can say depression in medical sciences is a condition where a man, a woman's mood and functionality are affected. So it's a symptom of medical condition. When you say depression, is a medical condition. And how do you understand that this person is depressed? Is by the mood of the person in question and his functionality. And in English word, it is a term we use to say when there is a severe despondency and the dejection. I think my grammar or whatever, I want to bring it.
I mean, you need to,
Thank you.
Simplify it
for our viewing audience.
Okay, so despondency is when a man or a woman has low spirits. The spirit in a man is totally down from lack of hope or courage. When a person is really hopeless, there is no hope, there is no encouragement from anywhere, the spirit of that man is down. That is despondency. And when it gets to that level, there is a problem somewhere.
Okay.
Except some of the steps in.
All right. Now, that has been established.
Yes.
But let me, dwell a little bit on that because I'm still going to ask you more questions. But because of this topic, I had a few discussions with someone earlier before we got started. Is it always monetary based? Is depression always linked to monetary issues? Please, can you just clear the air on that?
No.
All right.
That is the big mistake we make when we're talking of depression.
Okay.
But permit me to bring what we call principle of depression
Good.
in terms of medical sciences.
All right.
Good. So, depression, when it sets in into the brain of a man or a woman, that's what we call brain chemical balance. Brain chemical balance. So once depression sets into that brain, what it does is that the neurons in the hippocampus in the brain will be affected and the neurons will begin to shrink. Once the neurons in that brain begins to shrink because of depression that sets in, there will be a difficulty of that person to concentrate and do something he has been doing before. He will lose that concentration. And when a man loses concentration, hopelessness is already setting in. Then that hippocampus, where the neuron is, the whole entire hippocampus can equally begin to shrink. And when it starts shrinking like that, it means that the man will not be able to even do the things he had been doing in the past. You ask him to do this, he has forgotten how to do it, which means depression has set in. There is hopelessness, there is guilt and anxiety.
Can one say at that point in time, the person is losing his memory? Is there a memory loss?
Yes, it's a memory loss because the person is not able to coordinate again
His affairs.
his affairs. So that is the critical time you know there is a problem. And when you see the mood and function of that person, the person will be so reserved. Sometimes you begin to smile when there's no need to smile. Sometimes you begin to weep when there's not to weep because he's no more coordinated.
Well, while we allow our audience to quickly, digest all I've been said, let's quickly take this breather, and when we return, the program continues. Don't go nowhere. Welcome back. It's still your show, and I believe you've gotten 1 or 2 points so far from what Doctor has said. But we are still on the show, yeah. Right about now, we're looking at Africa now as an example now. So, report has it that about 5.9 percent of females suffer from depression compared to 4.9 among the males. Is there something going on within the males and the females? Are males putting more burden on the females this time around that is making the rates at which depression is setting in among the women or the female folks rise more than that of the males?
No.
So what could be responsible for this? Is it hormonal change or something that is...
Sometimes hormonal changes, but not necessarily hormonal changes.
Okay.
Because in Africa, it's only in the Western world that a man can easily get married, and the following 2 years you divorce with ease and move to another person that can make him happy or something like that.
Okay.
But in Africa, once you get married, whether you like it or not, you must stick to that your wife. So by the time the woman sees that the man is trying to make himself happy somewhere, woman is always so suspicious. You will see you talking with somebody, you say, who is this man or who is this lady? So at every point in time, a woman, the anxiety is so much. My husband may move, may do this,
It's monitoring
may do that.
me.
So it's monitoring. At every point in time, the woman is so anxious, trying to overstress the brain. Why a man is so relaxed. After paying rent or school fees, be at the joint, drink one bottle of beer or in Africa and be happy. Why the woman will be at home? Where is my husband by this time of the day? In fact, he must be with a woman. And when the man comes in, say, how are you? Say, how are you? What's the time? You are coming. So African women are so jealous. They want to make sure they monitor their husband every inch. So creating problems to existing problems already in that point.
All right, doctor, we are really pressed for time, so let's just quickly take you through some of these questions before we have, a wrap on the show. Now, you made mention of the fact that depression is not majorly a function of money in your earlier narratives, but I know you agree with us that some of these causes of depression stems from both, unemployment and abusive relationship, or a relationship whereby there is no trust, like you just earlier mentioned. Can you just help us make a sense out of, these two factors I just mentioned, unemployment and being in an abusive relationship, which as a result could bring about depression? Can you just help us make a sense out of it?
All right, thank you very much.
For the sake of our viewers.
Okay, thank you very much. The fact is that in Africa, especially in Nigeria, depression, of course, ought to be high because you're like a young graduate who graduated maybe 5 years, 6 years ago, up to now is moving along the street without job. So it is a big problem. Or a young lady who has graduated too, because the men are not having the fund to even come and say, I want to marry you. The person after graduation is still at home with the parents as a young lady, maybe graduated at the age of 22, 5 years or 7 years, 29, is not married, at the same time, no job. And the man you're expecting to come and ask you or ask her for hand in marriage, he is equally unemployed. So the parents of both are worried. The people in question, I mean the young, whatever, they are worried. So depression is obviously going to set in because you may be, after 5 years graduation, somebody who entered higher level will not meet you again in the labor market.
That's
so
serious.
that is a problem. Then the other way around, money answers all things, as a matter of fact. When you give even a sick person, say, this is 500,000, can you say 500 what? He say 1,000 naira. He say, I cannot die for them to use the money to bury me. You will see him trying to get up and say, I am well. So money too is powerful. So when you have it explained in a genuine way, it will make your life better. But the youth should be very careful not to pursue money because they want to use money by all means to do whatever they want. So when it's a genuine money that has a foundation, money is good.
All right, so we've been able to talk about the causes, fundamental causes of depression. Now, could you just quickly tell us within the space of 2-3 minutes of what the effects of depression can have on an individual?
Yeah, the effects of the depression, as I said,
Yes.
is multifactorial. So, one, the effects that the person in question, or one of the effects mainly, is that there will be aches and pains. At every point in time, the person, as if he's sick, will be very uncomfortable. You'll be asking what is happening, cannot even explain what is happening to him. That's one of the strongest effects of depression.
I hope that is not what people call pepper body. Every time you just be annoyed, I think that has to do with aggression. You're aggressive, or something. I don't know. Maybe doctor would provide more light on that.
This what you call pepper body. No, it depends. Maybe if you use one contaminated water or whatever, you start scratching yourself. No, this one is the normal circumstances.
No, I think what he's just trying to say that the individual just gets annoyed every given time.
Okay.
Without even gets easily provoked or something.
Irritability. Yes, irritability.
Yeah.
Any slightest something is already jumping on you and reacting.
Yeah.
Yes, it's one of the effects.
Okay.
Understand?
Okay.
But another greatest effect is that there is a decrease in sexual ability, both in man and woman.
I think I know that.
And there is another terrible effect, what we call insomnia. That is the lack of sleep or proper sleep. So when the person is not able to sleep very well, and whenever the energy is gone, anytime you talk to him, it can be violent. It can do and undo. And if it's left unchecked, it can lead to a very dire end where the person can even take his life.
Now, so as we coast home,
Yes.
please help us with the measures that one can take to mitigate the likelihood of coming down with depression. Because over the fact that you've narrated that people can actually go into this and the effects are usually very noticeable with, loss of memory and all of that. Is this something that is worth going into? If not, what are the ways one can mitigate such?
Good. When, even in Quran, it's written 6 times there in Quran that despondency is a sin.
6 times?
Yes.
You're very vast in Quran.
Yeah. And in Christianity too, they say without faith, nobody can serve God properly.
True.
That's true.
So when somebody is faithless, it's a big problem. So when you see churches here and there, or mosques here and there, they help to make life better. It's another solution. Somebody will just walk into the church, they are singing, you see the person sweating, dancing up and down. So excited. When they get home, maybe at night, the problem will come back. Yeah.
I think just the way people use beer to kill their bad
something like
mood.
that. So social interactions, going to church, going to mosque, helping you to see 1 or 2 persons, exchanging great things and pleasantries. So it's another way of solving depression. But when you are an introvert, you don't interact with people, you don't go for club, you don't socialize or whatever, your problems will be inside you, causing more depression and having depressive effects on you. So it's one of the key solutions to depression.
Okay.
Interacting with people, attending to church or mosque, or going for club or attending weddings where you go and laugh. Entertainment industry, they have done wonders. Where once in a while you move with your family, go and laugh.
Maybe for a comedy show or a concert.
So it's another big solution. Then another important factor that you can use to solve depression is that don't go beyond your limit.
Can you say that part again?
Very important method to avoid depression is don't go beyond your limit.
I think we will have to leave it at that point. Don't go beyond your limit. Thank you very much, Dr. Leo Anioka.
Thank you.
The MD, CEO, Careful Clinical Diagnostic Center in Lagos. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Well, that's our offering for you today, and we do expect that you will join us same time next week. Till come your way, I am Joshua Okata.
And I remain Samuel Okata, your co-host on The People's Voice.
From all of us here, it's bye for now.